Can all of you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So good evening, everyone. Today we'll be talking about a smart resume screening service. Okay. So we are basically going to focus again, considering the fact that this topic is not a very theory intensive. Uh, we'll mostly look at how we are building the architecture around it. Okay. And we'll walk through some of the code. And I would like you also to kind of pull code from this kind of repo and also do it because I don't see there's too much of theory there. Okay. So what we'll do is um, as the first step, give me a second. I'll share the repo and we'll walk through along with the repo. One second. Yeah. I just put it on the chat. Okay. Uh, you all of you can open this repo. Okay, so I'll anyhow share my screen and show it. Yeah. Can all of you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
We can.
So all of you can see my screen, right? So this is the AI resume analyzer, which we have, which I would like to walk through today. So in this one, basically the objective is to build a full stack web application that uses AI to analyze resumes and provide comprehensive insights. Okay. It is built using Streamlit frontend. Backend is Fast API, LangChain, and Gemini, Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. So what we'll do is I'll show you the architecture. Okay. So we'll open it in Eraser. Yeah. So here what we're trying to do basically is okay. So we have a resume. Okay. And so we are building a smart resume screener. Okay. Smart resume screener service. So we have a resume and we want to be able to pass that resume through AI. Okay. And AI should be able to give us insights regarding the resume. Okay. So typically, again, if you were to manually look at a resume and analyze the resume, it can be very, tedious to look at many resumes, correct? Now, in this particular application, what we are trying to do is to build a solution which will accept a resume in the UI, pass it through an AI model, basically Gemini API, and then give us the insights. Okay. So in this particular code base, what we are trying to do is we have, again, in terms of the architecture. Okay. So in terms of front end, what are we doing? We are trying to use Streamlit. Okay. So Streamlit is basically the Java based, Python based library for developing front-end applications. And in the backend, we are using, again, we are using Fast API. Okay. So Fast API is one of the several API frameworks that's used to kind of build the backend in this. You can use, there are several others like Flask and other API frameworks you can use, but Fast API is mostly used nowadays. Okay. So there's no extra space here. And in addition to that, in this repo, what we are trying to do is we are using the LangChain framework. Okay. So this is typically the tech stack what we are trying to use. Okay. So again, there's not really a lot of theory. Whatever it is, I'll walk through alongside what we're doing right now. And I would like all of you to also kind of clone the repo and do it. Okay. So we'll walk through the code also. And I would like you to clone it also and launch the Streamlit application in your local machine. Okay. So can all of you tell me if you have Python installed in your local machine? Can you just put on chat, please? So do you people have Python installed in your local? Do you have VS Code? Can you just put on chat? Hello, am I audible? Yeah. Does the audience have access to Python or VS Code? So typically, if you can see my screen, right? So you should be able to see, I mean, this is VS Code in which you have Python. Uh, so you don't have, Rupa, you don't have VS Code or you don't have Python?
Python.
Okay, you don't have Python. No problem. You can install Python. Okay. So just follow instructions, open ChatGPT and try to install Python because once you have it, it becomes easy. Okay. You're in Windows, I suppose. Tell us how to install Python.
I'm
Are you in
using Mac.
Windows?
Mac.
So you can directly in VS Code open the terminal and you can download this from there and you should be able to see Python hyphen version. Okay. So we'll come to that. So if you want, I mean, I think I can give some time later so that you can install Python. Okay. But before that, what I'll do is I'll go through the architecture, I'll go through the details of the code so that you can see and run it towards the end of the session. Okay. So here the API we're using is Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. So the API we're using is Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. Um, and the other things that we are again in terms of other technologies, I think we can look at it as we get along. Okay. So but Python anyhow is required that I already mentioned. So this readme.md, whatever is there in this, it has the detailed instructions in terms of how it's used. So now here, if I look at it, right, what I'll do is to help you understand how to do it better. I'll show you, okay, so that you also can do it alongside. Okay. So again, today is more of a hands-on session because there's not a lot of theory. So I opened the VS Code and click on open folder. And inside open folder, I click on some desktop folder and I create a new folder called Data Valley session, right? And I open that, select folder. Okay. So can all of you also try doing this? So go to the new terminal and just do it till here. This doesn't require Python. You can do this. Open VS Code, just go to File, Open Folder, and then select a folder from your desktop. Okay, and then in Open Terminal, and you should be able to see this. Just try this in 2 minutes. So can you do you people have VS Code? You can do this till here. Okay, if you already have, then great. But if you don't have, then you can just look at the steps and maybe I think you'll get a recording or something. Okay. So now that we have the a repo, okay, the repo which I shared, what you have to do is go to code, copy, and go to VS Code, say git clone and paste. Okay. So here what's happening? We are able to clone all the code from the remote repo into the local. You can see on the left side, the code has come, correct? Now, once the code has come, you can see that there's backend, front end, and all this stuff. Correct. So front end is basically the Streamlit code. Backend is basically the main code, which is calling the LLM and all that. So you can follow the instructions in the readme.md. Okay, so PDF resume upload is uploads resume in PDF format. Okay, uses Gemini 2.4 for intelligent extraction and analysis. It's structured data extraction, which basically takes out the PII, personal information, professional summary, work experience, education details, skills, certifications. Okay. Now this is the architecture. Backend consists of main.py, requirements, and .env template. Frontend consists of app.py, just Streamlit. Okay. Now that we downloaded it, let us navigate into the backend directory. Okay, CD backend. So I think it's not there over there. So we need to move into that folder, CD resume underscore screening. Okay. Now, once we are here, we do CD backend. Okay. Now, before we go ahead and create this pip install, we have to create a virtual environment. Okay. So Python -m -v. So this will create a virtual environment. Okay. So what I'm showing is step by step in terms of how you can clone this project and run it in your local. I will also walk through the code, and I will also show you how this whole application is spun up. Okay, in the local. Okay. And alongside, I'll explain the concepts involved in the various endpoints and the front-end code and all that. So now that you see Python -m -v, just create a virtual environment. You can see on the left side here, the virtual environment would have been created. Where is it? Okay, it looks like it's created inside backend. Okay, so you can see it's created over here inside backend. Okay, so if you say DAR, you can see the virtual environment created here. Now let's enter into the virtual environment. How do you enter into it? So you say /vnv/activate/script/activate. Okay. So 1 second, I think this is not recognizing. So /vnv. Okay, let me just clear. Okay, vnv/scripts/activate. Okay, so now it has activated the virtual environment. You can see it here. We are in the virtual environment. Now let's run some of the other commands. Pip install -r requirements.txt. So whatever there in the requirements.txt file here, they will all be executed. Okay, you can see these are all the requirements which are there in the requirements.txt. They will all get executed. So you can also run it, it will execute in your system too. So why is this required? This is required because they support the various libraries. Correct?
Yeah.
So past API is there, Ubicon, Python, PyPDF. Okay, it's not Python, Python multipart. PyPDF for extracting the PDF data, LangChain for the LLM application, Pydantic is for data validation, and so on. So let's wait for the installation to happen. Is anyone running this along with me? That's fine. You can always do it later on, but still just asking. Okay, so this one might take some time because it is running or installing all the packages. So what we'll do is in here we look at how the architecture is structured. Okay. So typically we're looking at the past API, which is exposing an endpoint. Okay. And if you look at the code and I open the backend, okay, the main.py. Okay, so let's look at main.py. So main.py is the main file in the backend, and this contains the API related details of fast API. Okay, so here if you see there are some pydantic models. Okay, pydantic basically is used for ensuring the structure of the data, right? The data structure. So then you are having a function called extract text from PDF. Okay, analyze resume with Gemini. Okay, and you have a prompt here. Okay, you're creating a prompt template, and then you're passing all this data to the LLM. Now here you can see that there are some endpoints in Fast API. Okay, so app/get is the one endpoint, it's the root endpoint. Okay, you have an endpoint called health, which is for health checkup. You have one endpoint for analyze, which does the analysis of the uploaded PDF. Okay, and then what are the other endpoints here? That's it. Okay, so you have three endpoints here: root, health, and analyze. Health is of course just for returning health, so to check if the API is working or not. Okay, root is again just for metadata in terms of what all endpoints are there. Okay, so now what we are doing is /analyze is the main endpoint that we need. Okay, so what it does is, okay, now if you see in the background, the installation has happened. Okay, so in the virtual environment, all the installations have been completed successfully. Now let's look at the documentation to see what else do we need to do. So we need to copy the environment template. So let's do that. So CP is not recognized because it is CMD. So what we'll do is we'll open it in a PowerShell. Or otherwise, you can just say instead of CP, you can actually type it. So there is this .env.template. Is there a file .env.template? So is there a .env.template file in this? It's not mentioned here, I think. Okay, so it's basically creating a .env file, nothing more than that. Okay, so what we'll do is in backend, I'll create a new file called .env. So this is basically for the secrets. And this one basically consists of Google API key. Okay, so I'm going to place that over here. And this is the actual Gemini key that you need to place over there, correct? So we need the Gemini API key. Let me just stop sharing and I'll get it for you. Give me a second. I'll just get the Gemini key from the other project. Okay. Okay. So I managed to get the Gemini API key. Okay, I'll share the screen again. Okay. I hope you can see my screen now, right? So I put in the Gemini API key. So all of you can also get your Gemini API key by going to Google Android Studio. Okay. Oh, sorry, Google AI Studio. Okay, go to Google AI Studio, get a Gemini API key, and you can follow the steps. Okay, so in the interest of time, I want to go through all this. Yesterday, we talked about how to do this. So you can click on get API key and get your API keys. Okay, so now that I have my API key over here, okay, in the .env file. Okay, I have my API file, API key in the .env file. Now I'm going to follow the next step, which is running the main backend. Okay, so I can directly run uvcon main report, copy this, paste, and run it. So let's see if it works. uvcon again is used just like PIP. Just like NPM you have in Node, uvcon is used in Python. So it's trying to spin up the backend now. Okay. So it's saying application startup complete. So startup complete is saying it's already up and running. You can see that the localhost is running on 8,000, port 8,000 over here. Okay. So all of you are with me. Can you hear me? All of you? Can you just confirm? Can you just confirm, please? You can hear me and see my screen? Yeah. DATAVALLEY team, can you confirm?
Hear you.
Yeah. You can, right? Okay. So next step, what we're trying to do is the API will be available at HTTP localhost 8000. Okay. Now, if you want to see the docs, typically, can you see this? You can see the docs. That's cool. So these are all the endpoints that we have made available, right? Root, metrics, chat, and all. Again, this is, I think, the other localhost, but you get the data in this format. Okay. Now, I think it might be open in the other. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so now that we have this ready, the backend is up and running. Okay, now let's go to the front end folder. Okay, so we'll spin up a new PowerShell. Okay, and I'll say ls. Okay, cd resume screening. Then I'll say cd front end. Okay, and I'll again do the Python -m virtual environment so that it creates the virtual environment for that. And then I will do install the requirements.txt over here in the front end. So typically in the front end folder, if you see, it has this only Streamlit and requests, only two of them, not too many, right? So if you saw earlier, the backend had a lot of requirements, right? Because it's very intensive, right? You are making calls to the API and all that. So front end is pretty simple. You just have only two of them, so it will be done fast. So let's just run this python bnb slash scripts slash active. Okay, now we are in virtual environment. Now let's run this command pip install -r -r, and it's going to install the requirements, whatever are there, streamlit and request. So there are just two of them that will be done fast. Okay, and after that we can run the streamlit app. Okay, once it is done. Yeah, let's just give it a minute. So we have the backend already running, so no problems there. Just waiting for the front end to spin up. So you can see its status is healthy, means it's working fine, right? Okay, let's look at the continue the architecture until it is done. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is basically in the UI, right? So you have the UI, which is in Streamlit. Now from the UI, we are passing the PDF, okay, to the PDF parser. Okay, the PDF goes and you have a PDF parser which is going to read the PDF from that PDF file, right? And it's going to access the contents, reads the contents, and then passes it to the LLM. Okay, so which is Gemini. Okay, so what Gemini will do along with the prompt. Okay. So it passes the contents to Gemini along with the prompt. So this prompt is the most important thing, which tells Gemini what exactly data it wants. So at the end of the day, it wants structured output. Okay. So Gemini will then provide a structured output to the user to stimulate. Okay. So this is the entire flow in terms of how it works. Okay. So now I done. Front end is also done. So let's look at what command needs to be run over here. So stimulate run app.py. Okay. Let's run that. And let's see if the front end is spun up. Okay. The app will open your browser at 8501. Okay. So let's just run it once the stimulate app runs. Okay, so it's automatically ran it. Okay, so it's automatically spun up the browser, if you can see, right? Isn't this cool? Right? So this particular application now is providing us the ability to upload a PDF and analyze it. Okay. So what I do is from my downloads, I'll just try to pick up some PDF resume. I just type resume for someone. So Spriha resume. Okay, there's somebody called Spriha, and I'm going to analyze the resume. So it's analyzing the resume now. Okay, not found in environment variables. Okay, so it's not able to find in the environment variables because backend has .env Gemini API keys over here. But looks like main.py is looking for an environmental variable somewhere else. So Gemini API key is okay. I think this is the problem. Gemini to Flash XP is correct only, but it's not able to get the data from this particular file. 1 second. Oh, so there's a problem here. Let's just put it over here, the root. Okay, so let's also move it here into the main environment. So let's restart the backend and see if it works. So let's restart and see. Application startup. Okay. Let's check the project health right now, and I say analyze with our resume and analyze. Okay, so it's saying Google API key not found in environment variables. So let's see if this error is mentioned somewhere in the backend. Okay, so it basically is not able to find the Google API key. You didn't even name it exactly the same. Okay, it's named exactly the same. I think we didn't save it back then. All right, no. Let's restart the server. Let's restart the backend server and see. Application startup complete. Okay. Let's see if it works now. Okay, that's great. Okay, I think the last time I did not save the file. I put the API key, but did not save the file. That's where the error came. Now, if you see this, once I uploaded the resume, and you can see that the details of this person, Spriha Mandal, right, are clearly coming out. Okay, you can see that the personal information so and so, professional information is so and so, right? The work experience is so and so. She's worked on intern education in so and so colleges. Her skills are so and so, her certification is so and so, strengths, suggestions for improvement, and all that stuff. Okay. So you also have an overall assessment. Okay. So resume is well structured, presents clear picture of her skills and experience and all that stuff. So how is it happening under the hood? Okay. So isn't this cool? Right? Now let's look at it under the hood and see, analyze how exactly it's working. So we have the backend, which is main.py. And like I said, so let's look at the front end code first. It's simpler. So app.py is the front end code. So front end code basically consists of streamlit code, which is basically the reporting streamlit requests right? And importing other libraries required. So we set the page configuration in terms of what should be the page title, icon, layout, and all those other configurations. Then we have the style sheets because we're not using Tailwind or anything. So all the styling will come here. Then we're talking about what is a local URL. So it's local backend URL is localhost 8000 because that's where we set it. Then we have display person info is one function. So this is the name, email, and phone what we are displaying here. Okay, person information. Display summary is the next section. We are displaying the professional summary. Okay. So on and so forth for all sections. Right? So how are we getting all this data? We're basically getting this data from the backend API. Right? So when I uploaded the over here I said click on analyze resume. Correct. So let's look at where the button is. So where is the analyze? Yeah. So this is the st dot button analyze resume, which is clicked, and based on it, again, it is going to make a backend API call. Okay. And it takes the response, whatever file that is uploaded. Now here, if you see prepare file for upload, it is basically uploading a file. Okay. And sending a request to the backend. So if you see here clearly, I said browse files. I selected Spriha resume. And when I submitted it, it's making a call to the backend. You can see this backend URL /analyze. So where is backend URL /analyze? Over here. Right? So we go to main.py, you go to /analyze. Okay. So once it comes to analyze it over here, we are looking what happens. That file which is uploaded will come here to analyze. Okay, because it's an uploaded file. And then these are the comments, okay, related to this particular function. Here we are saying validate the file type. So we are saying, is it a PDF or not? Okay, it is a PDF. It takes the API key from the environment. Okay, we just showed that. And if it's not API key, this is the error we were getting before. But now since a valid API key, it comes here. It reads the file. Okay, and it extracts text from PDF. Now it's a PDF file, right? So it extracts text. So it calls this function called extract text from PDF. Now, extract text.pdf is going to take that basic PDF content, PDF file as an input, as an handle, and is going to take all the text from it and is going to return back. Okay. So resume text is going to contain all the text from that PDF file, whatever it is. Okay. And then it is going to analyze resume with Gemini. Now it just has a raw data, correct? This PDF has raw data whenever I upload it, correct? So typically any PDF resume, right? It will not contain the clear structures of all the elements in that. So that raw data which is there, it is passed to Gemini. So analyze resume with Gemini is going to make a call to Gemini API, which is going to call the Gemini API using LangChain. Okay, so LangChain is basically the framework which is used to act as a wrapper on top of the Google Gemini API wrapper so that we can call the Gemini API easily. So here, if you are seeing, you are using LangChain to make a call to the Gemini 2.0 Flash X model with the API key and the temperature set to 0.3. Now, once we get the data, again, before we even get the data, we need a prompt. Okay, so this is the prompt. Okay, so the most important aspect of this entire application is the prompt. So if you see, this prompt looks similar to what you and I generally prompt when using Google, right? We say you're an expert resume analyst and career counselor. Analyze the following resume text and extract structured information. So resume text was whatever text we got from here, right? If you see here, this is the input, correct? This function is taking it as an input. So it's saying, take this resume text and take some formatting instructions. So this double braces around this basically means that it is coming as an input from somewhere. Okay. So if you see here, it's going to replace that, right? So it's coming from here. Now, You are basically replacing your entire prompt with the resume text and the format instructions. And you're providing a comprehensive analysis, including, so what are the various sections that you want? You're going to ask the LLM. So LLM is being prompted with a particular format of what all data it wants based on the resume text that is being provided. Okay. So any questions till here, anyone? Anyone, any questions? So all clear? All clear? Okay. Now that we have this entire prompt set, right? So we're in analyze resume with Gemini. We are creating this prompt and we are setting this prompt everything to Gemini. And we do chain.invoke. So through LangChain, right? LangChain, we say invoke, chain.invoke, resume text. And basically, resume text is now having the data of what we want from the LLM, correct? Now, we are also asking, right, in what format we need, right? So we're saying, hey, I want you to return the data in a JSON format. Why do we need it? Because that's how the front end can parse the data and display it in a structured format, correct? If you see here, the name is Prihamandal, the email is so-and-so, the phone number is so-and-so, right? So all this is coming from the backend to the front end in a structured format. So to ensure that the data comes back in a structured format, we're going to make sure that we are going to get the response in a JSON format, and that's what we are requesting from the LLM also. So when you give a response, give it in JSON format. So a response is equal to LLM.invoke is where the call is made to the LLM to get back to us with the data. Okay. So now that we have the response coming in from the LLM. So if you see the diagram which I showed over here, till now where are we? UI gave the PDF to the backend. Backend parsed the PDF. Backend reads the contents. Okay, great. Then it sends a prompt to the Gemini LLM. Now this is exactly where we are. This is the exact point. This LLM.invoke is the exact point where we are making an LLM call to the Gemini API. Clear? Any questions till now for anyone? Anybody has any questions? Hello? Hello, anyone?
No, sir.
Yeah?
No, sir.
No questions? Yes or no? I mean, I didn't clear.
No question, sir.
No questions. Okay, great. Now what we'll do is we need the structured output, correct? So Gemini, we are invoking it. And we know that the response will be in a structured format. Why do we know it? Because we are prompting it in such a manner that we say we want the structured output in this manner. Why do we again need this in a structured manner? Because the front end needs to render it in that structured manner. Good. Now, in fact, even the overall score, what is there, right? That's also coming from there. Suggestions for improvement. Everything is coming from the back from Gemini. Next, what we'll do is we are returning the resume analysis and star parse data, whatever we get from that call that we make, right? This resume response that we get. We are taking the response.content and putting in JSON_str, and then we are converting from that into parse data and returning it. Okay. So again, if you see resume analysis, some of these are pedantic models, correct? Why do you need to use pedantic? Helps to ensure that the data we are getting is in a structured format as per what we are expecting. Okay. Now, once the data is returned, structured output then goes where? Structured output goes back to the front end. Okay. So the structured output goes back to the front end. Now, what does the front end do? Front end then decodes the structured output. Front end decodes the structured output coming in JSON format. Okay, it decodes the structured output coming in JSON format from the backend and renders the data in the viewer. Okay. So this is the high level flow. Okay. So what we can do is, in fact, we can move this over here like this. Okay. Because once Gemini gives the data as an output, okay, that's how it looks. Okay. So what we can do, yeah. Now, any questions still here? Everybody clear about how it works? Anyone, any questions? Anyone, any questions in terms of the process or understanding how it is going on? No questions. Okay, great. So now that you saw the entire process, right? So we have been able to just to recapitulate, correct? We have been able to run a front end and upload a resume. So we'll try uploading a different resume now and see if it gives the same Lokesh resume. Somebody called Lokesh. So I'll just analyze resume. So it's taking 30 to 60 seconds because it's going and making LLM call and all that. So somebody called Lokesh and his data also is coming out. So work experience, so education is so and so. Key strengths, suggestions, improvements, overall assessment and all that. So it's a good resume, right? So smart LLM AI powered resume screener is basically giving us the insights also. Is it a good resume or not? 8.5, correct? Right? So this is good stuff. Now let's see if we upload a not so great resume. So let's say Karthik Raman. We have this resume. Yeah. So I don't know. So I think this is just a JD. Okay, let's just see. I just uploaded a resume, not a resume per se, but let's see what happens if you analyze this. If you can see, I just uploaded a JD by mistake. Okay, not by mistake, intentionally. But what's it going to say about the score? So basically, this is a JD for Navi, and it has analyzed it from the perspective of the JD itself. Okay, so it's really not, again, why is it giving this output? It's giving this output because the prompt is not explicitly saying that if you get the resume, if you get a PDF which is not a resume, then do not consider the document at all for giving an output or the insights. Your prompt should explicitly say that, but here I think we are not doing that. So that's exactly why it's not responding back with that kind of an output. That's what we would expect, right? Ideally we would expect that. It should say that this is not a resume, this is a JD, correct? A JD means a job description, correct? But because our prompt is not explicitly saying that, it is assuming that it can also analyze the JD and is giving some output. So this is one of the examples of hallucination, right? And you, as the prompt engineer, should be very careful about how you write your prompt. Okay. And I'll show you where in the code we are doing that, right? So the main.py, if you see the prompt, you're an expert resume analyst and career counselor, right? So we didn't say that explicitly you should only analyze resumes, right? If you do that, then it will kind of give that as an output. Okay. So that's the thing about this particular application. Okay. So I would like all of you to open up VS Code and again, maybe not right now, but I would like you to open VS Code and try running this application. I'll give you the GitHub repo. Okay. So I'm going to put in the GitHub repo. Smart resume screen. Okay. So this repo will be shared by the Data Valley team with you after this session is over. The instructions for that are all mentioned over here. How do you kind of set up? Okay. So refer to the instructions in the readme.mv file in the about repo. Okay. Next, in terms of the diagrams, right? Again, I hope all of you are clear about the process flow. Anybody any questions on the process flow? System architecture. Anybody any questions on the system architecture? The technologies used, right? Straightforward. Okay. And again, summarizing again the high-level process flow, we are saying that UI is sending a PDF parser is parsing it, reading the contents, sending a prompt to Gemini. Gemini is creating the structured output. Front end is taking it, decodes it, and renders the data. Okay. So let's put this also in the process flow. Okay. Yeah. So this is the high-level process flow in terms of how it should be done. Okay. Now, what you should be doing ideally is if you want to tweak this, right, you should be updating your prompt so that it makes your output more controlled, correct? So right now, it's kind of getting the data from anywhere. I mean, even if it's a resume or not a resume, it's still getting the data, analyzing it, and giving the output. But it is not a wise investment of resources and tokens, correct? So ideally, if it is a JD, because every LLM charges by input tokens and output tokens, you know that, right? I hope you know it. So if you're getting some input for which you should not generate the output tokens, then you can save on those output tokens, correct? So here, if you see in this case, it has generated the output tokens, correct, for our application, whatever we have pulled up, right? Over here, you see, this is all data which doesn't make sense. We don't need it. It's not a resume. So the output token should not have been generated in this case. Okay, so that's what is the thing that you should be careful about, and that's what a good developer will do, right? Making sure that edge cases are taken care of whenever you are sending data to the LLM. Okay. So that's it. So I think that's enough for today. You can go and practice, and I think you should also be able to spin up the application just like I did, if at all you followed all the instructions. Okay, and I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, I can take some questions. Any questions, anyone? Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm sharing this PPT with the Data Valley team. Whoever wants it, I think you can take it from them. If anybody has any questions, I can take. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I shared the PPT. Anybody, any questions? DataValley team, any questions?
No questions actually. So
Okay, fine. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
thanks, Vijay. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll come back with next webinar.